So, as I was saying, we are going to look at these arithmetic operators when it comes to Python. So you can see plus, minus, star, slash, the modulo, exponential, and then floor division. All right. So this particular part of the file here is trying to let us see the mass operators. And then we also have how Python represents these operators. So for plus, anywhere you see plus, it's still the same plus. So if the mass expression has a plus symbol, in Python, we still use a plus. If you have minus, it still has minus. If you have the times, then we also have the asterisk to get that done. So, or what we normally call the star. So that's one difference here. So if you have a divisional symbol like this, or like that in your mass expression, you still use the slash to represent either of these two. And in instances where you have a square root, so for instance, you have square root of 9, in Python, we say math dot sqrt, and then you open and close a bracket or what you call a parenthesis. So in that inside a bracket, then you pass in the value that you are going to deal with. So we have square root, and anytime you see a square root, you just go with math.sqrt. In instances where you have the cubic root, that to you represent it by cbrt, then the number that is on the cubic root, you just go ahead and then put in the number within the brackets. Yeah, so instances where you also have raised to the power. Raised to the power, we have math.pow. Math.pow. Then then you open that one, so another function. You open and close a parenthesis. Then the first item is your base. Then the power becomes the next item. So the math.power, it takes two parameters. The first parameter is your base, and then comma, you have your index showing. Also, you can use the double star to help define that particular expression. So we have 2 star star 3. So with these few examples that I have presented, we are going to look at some simple maths operations and expressions. Then we just do the convention like that. Then we go ahead and see how we can translate them into Python language. So I'm sure you guys were told anytime you are converting a mass operation, expressions, no matter the number of lines involved, you must translate all of them into just a single line. I'll show you in a bit how or what I'm trying to explain here. All right, so in instances where we have this, if I'm to ask you to put this information on a book, you realize that this expression is going to take two of the lines, so 4/6. But in programming, whatsoever the language is, you have four. You are supposed to translate this into a single line. So by the end of the day, you should have a single line represented. So it's as simple as ABC. We have 4. As for numbers and letters, you don't touch them. You don't do anything. You don't really do anything to them. So we have 4. And then this is a divisional symbol. And we are saying that to represent a divisional symbol, you need the slash. So this slash comes in Python. So what we have here is the slash, then followed by the 6. It's that simple. So in instances where we have x plus 2 all over 6, so we have into bracket x plus 2. So x is still x. You put that there. Then you also have the plus. The plus, we are saying that anytime you see plus in mass expression is the same plus in Python. Then 2 follows. Then we put in the brackets as it is there. And you can see that the brackets is, sorry, the divisional symbol is spanning all the way from x plus 2 like that. So we just put them in the brackets as they've been represented. The divisional symbol comes in, then the 6 also follows suit. So we've done this in a simplified manner. Then we also have another example like pi r squared. So pi r squared, we have pi, where we know that pi is 22/7 or 3.142. Then r squared means we have r appearing twice. So aside the pi multiplying the r, so we have star r because this is appearing twice. You can also represent this in another format where we have 22/7 multiplied by r star star 2 as I showed here. If you want to represent this, that. And also if you want to have another way of representation, we have the pi as 22/7, then star math.power because of these guys. This is r raised to the power 2. So math.power, I have r, comma 2. Yeah, so however you want to represent this, you can go ahead and do that. So I'm going to delete this one and redo this one again. So for instance, we have x raised to the power 4 minus 2x plus 2c. So since this expression is raised to the power, then we have to begin with the math.power. Then we open and close a bracket. Now inside the bracket, our base here is x. So go ahead and put in x, then comma with our raised to the power 4 minus 2x. So 4 minus 2x, we have 4 minus 2. Now our 2 and x are multiplying. So we put in our star and we put in our x in there. So you can go ahead and also even put this into another bracket like that. Then we continue, we have plus, because there's a plus here. 2c, 2 and c are multiplying. So you can just go ahead and say 2 star c. It is, that's easy to deal with. Let's try one more example. So I have something like y raised to the power 5 minus, let me see, we have x. Let's have let's have a square root. Okay, let's go for this one. All right, so can someone help us resolve this one? Please, can anyone help us resolve y raised to the power 5 minus the cubic root of 9?
Please, can you explain this one and give us another example?
I should explain which one.
Because the, the square root as well now, and give us another one. please.
No, sorry, I couldn't hear your line, your statement properly. Come again.
Please, I said that, can you explain this one and give us another example because of the square root
This
sign?
these are the square roots. It's a cubic root.
QA, yeah.
Yeah, and I've already explained that.
So in your examples, we didn't find this one in that, so
Yeah,
it's difficult
yeah.
to
It's not difficult because I've already given you this cubic root, and I told you it's CBRT. All right, Reginald, let's
Yeah,
try that. Yes,
yeah.
yes.
Uh, can I go ahead and answer?
Yeah. Answer the question.
Okay. Math.pow.
Math.power.
Yeah. Bracket open.
Mm-hmm.
Y five.
Y what?
Y five. Y comma five.
Comma 5. Okay.
And the bracket closes.
Okay.
Minus
Minus.
math CBRT. Math.cbrt.
Mm-hmm.
Bracket open. Nine. Into bracket.
Right. Yeah, so that is it. That is it. So it's as simple as that. It's not anything difficult. Just know how they are represented and then come and just, follow the operations and then that is it. So I want us to look at the almighty formula has how it works here. So the almighty formula, it has a lot of these operators operations to be used. Okay. Yeah. So now remember the almighty formula has two roots. Once before you finish before you come up with the uh, final answer, you should be having two answers. So if you are familiar with the almighty formula, you realize that x is probably 1 or x is equal to 2. So x will always give you two answers because of the plus and minus, because we don't have an operator like the plus and the minus. So we have to actually finish with the plus, then come and deal with the minus as well. Okay, so in representing this, so I have to get a, um, a variable to hold for the plus and then come and do for the minus as well. So it's as simple as that. We have minus b. So b, so minus, I go with the minus. Then I have the b following suit. Then I'll pick one of these operators, which is the plus. So I'll go with the plus. Then I have a square root, and inside the square root, I have b squared minus 4ac. So to represent the square root, I'll say math dot sqrt. And once you are done writing the sqrt, you just have to open and close a bracket. Now, this the square root is hovering all over b squared and minus 4ac. So you just go in there. Now, because we have b raised to the power 2, we go ahead and put in the math dot power. Then that one to open and close a bracket. Now, inside the bracket, we have b, comma 2. Then we are still within the square root. So we go ahead with the minus. The minus coming here is also being represented here. Then we have 4ac. 4ac are multiplying each other. So we have 4 star A star C. Then I'll go ahead and put them in a bracket, you know. So when I'm done, so I'm done with the numerator. Then there's a divisional symbol coming in. So when you are done with the numerator, so I'll go ahead and put them in one bracket. So I'll go ahead and put all of them in one bracket. So note that in programming, every bracket that is open should be closed. Then I can go ahead, the divisional symbol comes in like this. Then I can go ahead and also put a numerator, which is 2a, into another bracket. As simple as that. So this is how you can convert this expression into the Python. Then I'll copy and then paste. Then this one will go to 2. Then I'll change the plus here to the minus. please, who is confused at this moment? Because all that I'm doing right now is just to substitute whatever I've found here into the system here. Yeah, Emmanuel.
Sir, please, I'm confused of after the mass dot power B2, like from that part onwards.
Yeah, math dot power we have B, which is the base, and the power raised to the index, which is 2. And there's a minus here, right? So you go ahead and put the minus here. 4AC are multiplying. So in programming, we said if you are multiplying, we need the asterisk or the star. So 4 star A star C. And because they are multiplying, I went ahead to put them in the bracket. Okay. Yeah. So yes.
So I thought the math dot power, no, it's only for the B and the 2. So the brackets, like, aren't we supposed to have a bracket before the 2? Like after the 2, there's supposed to be a bracket for the one. Oh,
No. See, yeah, I think check when you check properly, the B's with the B raised to the power 2 minus 4AC are within the square root. So the square see that look at the square roots bracket. It spans all the way from here to here. So if you follow me properly, so see something. Now we have a square root. So this is a square. So this is a square root. Now inside the square root, we have a raised to the power. So I'll come inside here and say math dot power. Now math dot power also has its own opening and closing bracket. So you can see where the square roots. Now inside here, the math dot power, we have b comma 2. Now we can't go outside because once we go outside, that means the square root is only going to affect the b squared, which is not the case because the square root is actually spanning all the way to minus 4AC. So we are supposed to still be in the aspect of the square root. Then I'll go ahead and put in 4 star A star C. Are we okay? So since they are multiplying, I went ahead to put them in a bracket. So I was also saying that when you look at the beginning of the divisional symbol from here all the way to there, so I'll put the entire numerator into one bracket. So this wasn't there. So this wasn't there. So once I'm done with this one, for instance, now I'm putting everything here into one bracket. So everything here goes into one, but because of the spanning from here all the way to this side. So I'll go ahead and put that in a bracket like that. When I'm done, then I introduce the divisional symbol. Then 2, so the numerator here, which is 2a, is also, will be placed in a bracket. Then I multiply them like that because they are also what? Multiplying. So is there any confusion? Are we clear? Your silence is telling me that there's still confusion.
So we are clear.
Are you sure? Because you guys have waited a long time before responding to me.
So, okay.
So please, the
Mhm.
math dot square. So please, my challenge is with the math. Please explain that one to me.
Your problem is what?
The minus b plus math dot square. What does the math there represent?
Minus B. I'm not seeing minus B anywhere.
X
Minus
x1, please.
this X1.
Yes, please.
Yeah, it's just holding the first answer. I was saying that there's the quadratic equation always produces two answers. Okay, and because we don't have an operator like plus and minus, you have to first deal with the plus and then store its value in one um, variable. Then when you are done, you come and do another one that will store for the negative aspect. That's why we have x1 and x2.
Since I
Or
understand that part, but I'm saying the
mhm,
into bracket minus b plus math dot square root.
mhm,
The math there is what does it
mhm.
represent?
The math there, what are they represent? We are trying to say that
Okay.
if you want to represent a square root, you say math.sqrt.
Okay.
That's a rule. So I've given you the rules here. So if you want to represent a square root, you say math.sqrt. Then the number in here or the value of the square root, you just go ahead and put it in a bracket like that. That is why you are saying we bothering ourselves. So here in our square root, we also have the raised to the power. And when you check here, we are saying that if you want to represent anything like raised to the power something, we say math.power, then the base comes in comma 3. So that is what we just substituted here because we have b raised to the power 2. So we say math.power b comma 2.
Okay, so I understand. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. So you have to come here and then note the various uh, representations. So when you see this, you represent this by that. If you see cubic root, so cubic root is what we saw earlier here. This is the cubic root. So where we have the 3, I don't know what with the square root, you see 2 here, but normally we don't represent the square, but with the cubic, we go ahead and put in what? The 3 here. So if you want to deal with cubic root, then you say math.cbrt, which is here. Okay, yeah. All right, so since we've seen this, I want us to go ahead and then look at how we can make a simple code in our PyCharm. So it's not anything difficult. It's just about substituting. So you see this, you look at how it is being represented, then you go ahead and substitute, and you have a nice expression expressed. Yeah, so you're supposed to go ahead and learn more, find more of these expressions, and then know how to deal with. So I'm believing that by now you guys have downloaded your PyCharm and work with it, or you are already going to work. All right, so my PyCharm has launched, and I'm going to go with the file. I'll go to the file tab to create a new project. Hey, Lawrence, let me listen. Maybe he's insulting me. I mean, all right. So with the file, I'll create a new project. Then these aspects has the location where your project is going to be stored. If you have a GitHub repository, you can go ahead and let it be saved there. I don't think if you have that is fine, but this particular one, I'm not going to do that. So go ahead and click, or you check the create a welcome script. Then you leave everything as it is. You go ahead and press on create. I'll try new window. Okay, so I'll just wait for it to synchronize, and then once that is done, you can go ahead and start with a simple coding. Yeah, so it will depend on how fast your machine is for it to launch for you. Okay, so it's ready to work. Yeah, so for beginner's sake, don't touch anything up here. Just come to the last end of it, and then you can go ahead and start putting your codes. So last week we saw an example of the print function used for the hello world, so as simple as that. So once you are done, you come to the play button here and press on that for it to interpret and then to run for you. Yeah, so we have our hello world, showing. So which means our file here is looking. All right, so let's go ahead, and then I'm putting a comment here. I have mass expressions. All right, so with the mass expressions, in Advent where I want to do a simple addition, so I want to deal with simple addition, okay? How to add two numbers. So we looked at how to create various variables in our previous lecture. So we have, since we want to add two numbers, so we want to see how we can add two numbers. So we need to get two variables to help us accomplish that. So first I'll have something like first number, then I'll assign a value to it. Then I have a second number, and then I'll assign another value of choice to it. So now once I am done, I can go ahead and then put them together. So I can say answer is equal to the first number. So with the ID, you're going to use any variable or function you declare. You have something like the IntelliSense putting everything together. All you're supposed to do is just go ahead and then select on it for it to be accepted in here. Sorry. So first, so you can use the tab key to select for it to just add up. Then I have second number coming in. Then once I'm done putting these two together, so I said add the second number to the first number and store it in the answer variable. I can go ahead and say print. Then inside the print, I can pass in the answer I want to display, which is answer here. So and we saw with our examples last week that you can actually concatenate. So this, so the answer. So the answer is, then we separate it by with a comma. All right. So one thing I want you to do with this simple calculation, I believe we all know the processing cycle of a computer. It has the input, then it goes to process, and then finally you have the output. We also have storage where the computer stores data. So try and bring in the same ideology into programming. So every time you want to program, you should always look out for the input, then you go to process, and then you go out and look for the output. So for instance, in a simple program like this aspect of the code is for input. So the input means that we are giving our variables values to store. That is input. So this is the input aspect. Then once we are done, we can now, so in the programming, once you are done getting all your inputs, because without the input, you can't actually process anything. How are you processing? What are you processing if there is no what data in there? All right. So from there, then we have to to have our process involved. So this part of the code becomes our process. So let's bear that in mind. So we have the process coming in. Now, once you process, you then have to display your answer. So that is where the print guy comes in to help the job to be done. So we have the output as well. So you can see we have input, process, and output. So any question you receive or anytime you are programming, have this idea in mind. Look out for your input. Then once you are done, you process it. Then just like you going online and then you are supposed to sign up to something. You realize that you may have to first go ahead and put in your name, your first name, your second name, or your middle name. Then you have to put in some data. Once you put in those data, then there's a button to click on what save. So the save aspect is what is going to help you save, do the processing. So behind the button, that save button, there is a process. How should your data be saved? Then once you want to probably pull out your data from that same site, you need to, see how you have to print out your data to see how it has been arranged or organized. Yeah. So in programming, with the same idea, you can get anything done. All right. So without much ado, so once I am done, I should be expecting to see something like 11. So once I come here, I run, and then I can see that the answer is what? 11. So this is my output. All right, so let's take another example. So let's try to calculate the circumference of a circle. Please, who can give us the formula in calculating the circumference of a circle?
Pi r squared.
Pi r squared.
Pi r squared.
Circumference.
Circumference.
2 pi
Yes.
r.
Okay. Be messing yourself around. Yeah. Yeah, so the one who said pi r squared, please, pi r squared is for the area, okay? So find the circumference is 2 pi r. All right.
All right.
Yeah. I think I even showed you the one here. So this is that. All right. Okay, so who can help us to do that? So remember inputs, process, output. Now we know our process. We also know our input. Then we just have to output it.
So let's set our constants.
Let's start with our constants. Okay. Yeah, so tell me what to write exactly. So just don't go away. 1 minute is already up. I'll be back. Hmm.
It was we set radius to be equal to the 4.5.
Okay. I think 90 is enough for me to continue. All right, let's continue. All right, so our inputs, we have this as our input. All right, let's continue. Oh, it's
The pi.
uh-huh. The pi, okay. Mm-hmm.
3.14.
Okay.
I'll go to right. Now, so say
Mm-hmm.
the this is circumference is equal to the
Yeah, you can say that. It's equal to
2
mm-hmm.
asterisk
It's not asterisk. Asterisk.
asterisk. Okay.
Mm-hmm. You can just say star and be free from all evil. Uh-huh.
So 2, and then you write a pi.
Mm-hmm. Continue.
Star
Mm-hmm. Oh, but this should be easy. You already so the process shouldn't be a problem. What are you waiting for?
Radius.
That's so. You've already given us radius. So you are telling us that the circumference is 2 pi r. So if it is 2 pi r, 2 pi and r, they are all multiplying. So you could have just given it to us, just like that, like in a simplified. Yeah. So that is that. So we are now done with our process as well. Then from here, what do we do?
print
Elisha, what do we do?
print
Yeah. So we
the
print.
print
Mm-hmm.
brackets
Mm-hmm.
circumference.
Circumference. All right. So you can go ahead and add a string, that will concatenate. So the circumference of the circle is, then we bring a comma on that. All right. So once we run, so the circumference of the circle, we have 28.278. Are we okay? All right. So in instance where we have maybe our radius to be, let's say, 2.9, we run again, and then we have 18.22, blah blah blah. So there's a lot of points after. There are lots of numbers after the point. So maybe we want to round the figure. So you can go ahead and say round circumference. So once you round, how many decimals are you running to? So we say round, then the answer, which is the circumference, followed by the number of decimal places. So if you write 2 here, that means to be 2 decimal places. If you want to go for 3, it will be 3 decimal places. So once I click on play, you can see that has converted to what? 18 plus. Hello. Yeah, so please, can anyone hear me?
Yes,
Yes,
please.
sir, we
Yeah,
can hear you.
sorry. Yeah.
Yes, sir, we can hear.
Okay, so we have
Yes, sir. We are here.
2 decimal places. If I go for 3, here and I run, it will calculate, and then I'll have to the three, or sorry, to the third, to the third decimal place. All right, so this is a very simple task to do. All right, so I want us to also look at some crucial aspects of today's lecture. So we want to look at inputs. We have a function called input. Now, this input is just similar to the cin or the get line in C++. So if you want to accept data from a user, we use the function here as what? Input. So username is equal to input, then you pass in the message. So you have C out, then you put, so just in C++, you say C out, then you pass in your message, then you say C in, then you pass in the variable. But in Python, you don't have to go through that stress. You just declare a variable, then you assign it to the input function, and then inside the parentheses, you go ahead and pass in your information. All right, so let's see how that will work with us in here. So when we check our codes here, with our input section, we are always assigning data to our variable. You know, we hard code that with our codes here, but it's not always to be so, because there are instances where maybe someone wants to add different numbers like 7. The person's first number could be 7, the person's second number will be 8 or something like that. 1,000, and just you can just mention the number, you can't be sure of the number the person wants to add. Yeah, so instead of we hard coding our numbers onto the program, we will rather give the user the leverage to insert his or her own word value. So for instance, our radius, for instance, which is the variable here, we have made it 2.9. What if the person's variable is a different word value? So in doing that, we would rather have to use the inputs, so that the inputs will give the user the ability to enter whatever number he or she wants. So let me go ahead and then comment on this. All right. So to add two numbers, now we are trying to we want to get data from the user. So the user should rather be the one to determine what values he or she wants to use. So instead of having this, we go ahead and put input, and then we pass the message, please. Programming is polite, so we go ahead and say, please enter your first number. So the same way, we'll go ahead and then we tell the user to enter the second number. Please enter your first number. So once the person enters its number, then it will be stored in the first number variable. So here we are not forcing any numbers in here. Are we okay? Then the process also still remains, and then you can now go ahead and display our answer. All right, so let's run and test our work. Let me stop it and then add something. We run this. All right, so my first number, so my first number can be these numbers. Then I'll strike enter. Then these numbers could be my second number. So once I strike enter, we have a problem here. What is happening here is this. My first number is 2095875. And then we have my second number is 345. And instead of it computing, the addition, it's rather concatenating. Remember the last time we talked of the addition being used as a concatenating operation. Now, what is happening here is this. The input value here, the input function here, the input function actually sees every data as a string. Okay, so here our first number that we entered, our first number was seen as a string and not a number for calculation. It was seen as a string, not an actual number for calculation. Yeah, so in instances where you want to do a calculation and you are using the input function, you're supposed to go ahead and cast the number into a proper data type. So here, in here, we say that input the first number. Once you are done, convert that number into a real number that can be used for calculation and put it and make it a floating point value. If you want to use int, you just go ahead and put in int here. So we do what we call casting to make sure the number is in its right format. So I'll go ahead and do same to the second number as well. So this time, let's see if our calculation will be done rightfully as expected. So here I have 45. My second number is 5. I'm expecting 50. All right, so our answer is working properly. 50.0. Please, am I confusing anyone here?
No, sir.
Yes, so instances where you want to employ the use of the input. So in instances where you don't need floating point values and integer values, then you may just have to leave it like that. The input will take care of it, because when you are taking in string values, you don't have to go ahead and put in a string again, because automatically the input deals with strings. So once you are dealing with numbers, then you may have to cast the input value into either the floating point or whatever value you're looking for. Yeah, so the same thing we can do for our other example. So I'll take this one out. Take this one. Yeah, so here our input, instead of giving it 2.9, because we want it to be in a situation whereby the user will only put in his or her own number. So I can go ahead and say input. Sorry, input. Then into bracket, I pass in, please enter your radius. So the radius is also a number. So you can go ahead and put it in the floating point data type. Go ahead and close it. So once we run this, so the process is still remaining the same, as well as our output. So we have enter radius. So I'll go ahead and put in maybe 45.7. I strike enter, and then the calculation is done within a second for me. You can see how simple that is. All right, so let's deal with the last item before we move on to the next. So in instance where we have our almighty formula coming in, So I'll go online, and then I have these examples here. So these are quadratic equations. And one of the ways to solve a quadratic equation is to use what we call the quadratic formula. We also have the completing squares and another way of killing this mass. Right, so we are going to use the quadratic equation to help resolve this particular issue. So when you look at this quadratic equation, so this is one equation, another, and another one. And you realize that every first item here has x squared minus, then the next item has an x, and then the last one has no x at all. The same thing happens to this, and this happens to that. Now, in resolving the quadratic equation, you need these variables. We have the a, b, and what c. That is what we see. We are always seeing here. So the variables here, we have b here. There's a b. There's an a. There's a c. There's another a. Yes. Yeah. So you have to know the various a, b, c, d. That's yeah. So you are the one to now know which one is the a. Now, if you did your maths properly, when we look at this example, when we pick this example where we have 4x squared minus 5x minus 12 equals 0, which part is A and which part is B and which part is C?
The 4 is A, 5 is B, minus 5 is B, and minus 12 is C.
Okay, good. Yeah, so we have mathematicians among us. All right, so that is that. So you have to start writing a program to look for your A based on the expressions here. You have to find your A, you have to find your B, and you have to find your C. So once you're able to get those items out, they can now go ahead and put in your value. It's all your codes. All right, so let's come back to our program here. All right, so we want to work on quadratic equations. All right, so who can help us, or I should just go ahead and get it done? First of all, we need our inputs. So getting our inputs, when we look at the formula, we have A, we have B, and we have C. So that means you have to declare variables for both A, B, and C. So first we have to get our A. So I'll go ahead and say input. So please enter the coefficient of x squared. That's x raised to the power 2. So this, we put in the float. Or you can also say, please enter A, so whoever is going to work with your application should know his or her A, B, and C. So I can go ahead and then also say that please enter the coefficients of the coefficient of x. Now I'm using these words because these are the right mathematical words to be used. Right word that when you look at here, the coefficient of x squared is what? 4. The coefficient of what? X is what? -5. So if you don't know these terms, you can just go with the general one, A, B, C, and then you can go your way. Okay. Then the last one in the list, I have my C coming in. So that one is just to enter the constant value. So once we are done accepting our values, then the next thing here is the process. So with the process, we saw x1. So not to waste much time, I've already explained this, so I'll just go ahead and then copy. Go ahead and copy this. We've already done that, so let's go ahead and then put that there. All right, so the only error we are expressing here is the math, because there's a red underline which tells us that there's something wrong. And it's not any big deal. It says we need to import the math library. Import the math library. So anytime you want to import, it has to be one of the earliest codes. One of the earliest codes. So importations are always done at the far end of, at the top of your programming. So once I click on import, you can see that the error is gone. And when I climb up, we have import math showing here. Okay, so you need to import the math before you can use the math library, else you get an error. So once you are done with this particular aspect of it, once we are done with the process, we go with our output. Then we say print. X, so root 1 root 1, then we pass in x1. Then print, we have root 2. You can see how we have demystified and resolved this particular code, the almighty formula. Okay, so once I click on run, I always don't like it when the cursor is close to our information. So I'm going to close it. It doesn't do anything, but I just want it to have, a nice presentation when it is running. So I have this as well. So once I run, so you can see that now the cursor is, somewhere away. All right. So with our first example here, we have coefficient of x squared. We have 4. Now strike on the enter key. Then our second coefficient, so our coefficient of x is -5. So that's to go ahead and put in -5. The last and then the list, I have the coefficient of, the constant, we have -12. So I'll just go ahead and then enter -12. So once I strike on the enter key, the calculation should be done. So root 1, we have 2.46, blah, 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 and we also have -1.216. Yeah, so if you don't like how lengthy it is, you can just go ahead and then round it. So I'll go ahead and say round, comma, to 2 decimal place. So I'll round this one too. Yeah, so this is the print brackets and then the round to as its bracket. So we have the value, then the number of decimal places you want. So if I'm to rerun this and go back to enter my values, yeah, so you can see the first root we have 2.47 and then the second root we have -1.22. Please, is this okay before I go to the
Yes,
next
yes.
one? We can see that Python is quite friendly. compared to your C++ that we dealt with last semester. Good. All right, so from the input, we are going to look at the comparison operators. Now we're going to need these operators to take decisions. Now we are moving on to the decision structure when it comes to Python programming. So with that, if you want to check if two items are equal, we use two equal to signs. Then if you want to check whether they are not equal, we have the exclamation sign and equal to symbol. If you need to use the greater than symbol, we have the greater than symbol. Or the right angle bracket. Less than, we have the left angle bracket. Then if you want to check if two items are greater than or equal to each other, we have the greater than symbol followed by the equal to symbol. If you want to check whether one is less than the other, we have the less than symbol equal to that. I'm going to skip the logical operators here. When you have multiple operators, multiple conditions, then you need to have these guys. But for now, let me skip so I get the simplicity of what I want to explain here. Then once we understand that, then we employ the logical operators as well. I'm hoping we'll do that before our time will be up. All right, so we have the if statement. So in Python, we have the if and else. So if this is this, then you can go ahead. So if this is this, do that, else come and do something else. Yeah, so with the if and else structure, we have the keyword if followed by the condition. So you have the if as the keyword followed by the condition. So once you are done with the condition, now the condition comes in when you have these items that we just looked at. So where your comparison operators fall in, that is where you are putting your conditions. So the conditional statement is nothing but areas where you need to have something like this representing in there is where your condition comes to play. Where your conditions comes to play. All right, so we'll see an example very soon. Yes, so once you are done putting your condition, unlike C++, you have to put your condition in a bracket, but Python doesn't require any bracket. Then once you're done with the condition, you follow it by a colon. Then you write your statement. What should happen? Then with the else, you come to the next line. Now, one thing you're supposed to note is that the statement is indented. Okay, once you strike on the enter key, it's indented. You will see how the indentation, actually works in a bit. Then we also have the else statement. Then the else statement has a colon. Then we have statements 2 also coming in. All right, so let's go back to our program. And then let's see how we can use the if and else statements. Remember, the if and else statement is always used to take or make a decision. So in instances that, so a question like this, so what's the age to determine whether someone is an adult or a child in Ghana here? I'm asking a question.
18.
Are you sure? Are you sure? This is wrong.
Say 16.
16 to 35.
Seriously? Okay, not to waste time. Yeah, so to determine whether someone is grown or not, or is an adult or not, is 18 years and above. So it's not just 18. Because when someone is older than 18, according to your program, the person will be told that the person is not an adult. So for you to be an adult, you should be 18 years old and above. So we are going to write a program to determine a person's, I'm going to write a program to determine whether a person, to determine whether a person is an adult or not. So if that will be based on the person's age. Okay, so if the person is an adult, the system should tell the person that you're an adult based on the person's age. So right now I need an input, and the input that I need here is the person's age. So I'll go ahead and say that I'll declare a variable called age that will hold the person's age. Then I'll go ahead and say input. Then I'll tell the person, so please enter your age. Now remember, input always deal with numbers. Sorry, strings, but you may have to go ahead and cast because age is a number. All right, then once I'm done, I need to process. And this time my process is a conditional statement. So I'll begin with the keyword if. Then if what? So if the person's age. And how do we represent how do we represent 18 years and above? 18 years and above, based on our operators here.
Greater than or equal to.
Greater than or equal to. Good. So I'll go ahead and say greater than or equal to. And 18 comes in. Then followed by, so this is the condition. Age greater than or equal to what? 18 becomes our condition. So once it is true, then we should tell the user that the person is an adult, else the person, so once it is true, we should just say that the person is what? An adult. Now, when you check properly, after the colon, when I strike enter, you can see that the cursor is not beneath the if statement directly. It has given itself some space before allowing me to continue with my code. So this is the indentation that I've been talking about. If I'm to start just exactly beneath here, I'll get an error. So the indentation is to show a block of code. So I have go ahead and say print and display the statement that you are an adult. So any information I keep adding in here will also be displayed in there. But this is not what we are trying to do. So once we are done, we come out of that particular if block, then we say else. Then with the else too, we have a colon following. Once I strike enter, that one too also is going to be what? Indented. Then I'll copy my code here, paste it here, and say that if you're not an adult, automatically you're going to be not what? An adult. So you are not an adult. So let's run and see if this program is working perfectly. So I run this. So it's asking me to enter my age. I forgot to leave the space again. So I have this. I'll stop. Give the space. Rerun. So please enter your age. So I'll go ahead and say that my age is 67. Once I strike enter, so we all know that 67 is an adult person. So you are an adult. I'll rerun again and let's try a number which is lesser than 18. So I have 13, sorry. I have 13. Once I strike on the enter key, it tells me that what you are not an adult. So if you want to write a program that will take a decision based on just a single condition, then you go for the if and the else statement. As simple as that. All right. In Ghana here, what age makes you eligible to vote? Eligible to vote.
18.
Wrong.
18 and above.
18 and above. 18 years and above. So we are looking at a program where, based on your age, we can say that, okay, if you are
And above.
this particular age, go ahead and then say to the user that, or to say to the person, you can vote, else you cannot vote. So it is the same thing here, but just that this time we have to change our message here and say that you can vote, else you cannot vote.
Hello.
Hello, sir.
Yes, I'm here. Do you have any question?
No, we couldn't hear you.
Sorry. So 45, I can vote. Yes, you can vote. Then we strike again. I am 18 years. I should still be able to vote. Can still vote. Last and in the list, when I put in 14 years, I shouldn't be able to vote. So I strike on enter and you see that you say you cannot. Yeah, so that is for the if and the else statement. So we have instances where we want to take multiple decisions. All right, so we also have the if and L if. If and L if. So with the if and L if you have extra condition, so maybe the first condition didn't meet, you want to try another condition to check whether it will meet before you even get to the else if. So see it as to is see it as the what the name instances where if you have multiple conditions with different outputs, okay, so every condition has its own output. That is where we try to employ the use of the L if. So it's like if you don't see this, then go to this one and check. If not, so more like maybe a lecturer sending you to go and call someone. Go and call me the class rep. If the class rep is not there, then call the assistant. If the assistant is also not there, go ahead and call maybe the secretary. So this is the part. So this is the part where you have multiple conditions to check, and then you have corresponding actions to be taken. Then we go with the L if. So the L if in C++ is just like you saying else if. Exactly, else if. So don't be confused. In C++, you say else if, but in Python, we say L if. All right, so let's see an example. So I want us to look at an example like we want to check if a number is positive. If it is positive, let the program to check if a number is a positive or a negative number or 0. So we want to check if a number is positive or negative or what? 0. So if it is a positive number, say that the number you've entered is a positive number. Else, if it's a negative number, say that the number you've entered is a negative number. Else, the number is what? 0. Because if the number is not greater than 0, which is a positive number, or lesser than 0, which is a negative number, the number should become what? Or that automatically the number is what? 0. So I'll go ahead and say number, and I'll bring my input. I'll do my float. I always like to do it this way so that you don't forget. So we have input, please, or I can just say enter your number. Once I say please enter your number, this number can be a floating point value as well. So I'll go with float in that manner. Right, so once I am done, because all I need right now is a number. So the process goes in like that. So I give me the if statement. Now I want to check if the number. So how do you know if a number, how do you check if a number is greater than 0? Sorry, I think I've already answered myself. How do you check if a number is positive? How do you check it's greater than 0? Yeah, so if the number is greater than 0, then I'll bring my colon, then I'll say go ahead and print the number entered is a positive number. You see, it's very simple. So if you want to go ahead and display that particular number, you can just go ahead and put in the number in here. But we want to see the number you entered. All right, so we come here and we say L if the number is less than 0, because any number less than 0 is a negative number. So I'll put in my colon, strike enter, then pass in my message, then I'll put in the negative in there. And then if it is not a positive number, either a negative number, then we say else whatever you have typed here is 0. The number is 0. The number is 0. So let's run that. So I run that. Enter your number. Space. So enter your number. My number is 89. Now we know that 89 is a positive number. So I'll strike. I think my spelling of the number is wrong here. We run. So I have 89. When I strike on enter, it should tell me that yes, the number entered is a positive number. And we have it as 89.0. If I'm to rerun and I put in -9, I strike enter, it should tell me that the number you've entered is a negative number, and that is the number. So if the number is not a negative number or a positive number, and I put in 0, it should confirm that yes, the number entered is what? 0. Please, is there any question? So you can have as many L ifs that you want. Okay, L if, as many as you want till you get to the last. So normally we use the else if to check multiple conditions with multiple outcomes. Okay, each of them has a separate outcome. Then you just employ the use of the else if. I hope I've not confused anyone. So we have the if and else if, and then we have the else coming in. Yeah, so before I continue, let me ask, you know, so I want to know whether someone has any issue before I continue. All right, silence means it's okay.
Yes, sir.
All right, yes,
No, I mean it's okay.
it's okay. All right, all right, all right. Yeah, so I want us to go back with to employ the what's the name? Logical conditions as well. You know, sometimes there are instances where you're programming, you may need to employ multiple conditions before an outcome can happen. Multiple conditions before one outcome will come out. So, for instance, in Ghana here, if you want to vote, we need um, your age to be 18 years and above. Should be 18 years. Let me just put in the mathematical expression. Yeah, 18 years and above. That is one thing we are supposed to have. And then you should also be a Ghanaian. Okay. And we also have another. Let me just use these two. You should be a Ghanaian.
You should also have a voter's ID.
You also have a voter's ID. You should also be sound-minded. So mad people can't determine our president for us. Yes.
You should have Ghana.
Now it's either you can use the Ghana card or voter's ID. Yeah. So I want to get to a particular point here. So I'm only going to use two conditions. Now these two conditions should be true before you can be able to vote. So how do I even put it? We have an instance. So here we can employ the and we can also employ the or operator. So it depends. So with the and operator, these two conditions. So with the and operator, two of the conditions must be true before you can vote. But with the or operator, one of them should be what? True before you can what? Vote. Are we okay? Yes. So I hope I'm recording this. Yes.
Yes, please.
Yeah. All right. So let's see how we can employ the AND operator or the OR operator within our if and else statement. So I'm going to clear this. So here we need two inputs. We need a person's age and a person's nationality. So nationality, so nationality should be equal to, so the nationality should be a Ghanaian. So I'll go ahead and we first have to accept the person's age. Then once we are done, we need to accept the person's nationality. So I'll go with nationality. Now say input. Please enter your nationality. So after getting these values, then we go with our process. So we check if the person's age is greater than or equal to, greater than or equal to 18. Then we use the keyword end. That's all. So end, then we now bring in our next condition. So if the person's age is 18 and nationality is equal to Ghanaian, then we can go ahead and say that please, you can put, else, you can't vote. Yes, so with the logical operator, we employ the logical operator, which is the and or the or, to check. So if I enter my age, okay, so let's test our work here. Hit this. So let me go ahead and I want to always space things out. So I run again. So age, I have 12 and I'm a Ghanaian. Now would this work? Can I vote with this information?
No, you can't vote.
I can't
No,
vote.
sir.
Yes. So I strike on enter, it says you can't vote. Yes, because even though, so here my age wasn't true, but my nationality was true. So I can't vote because the and ensures that each of the conditions should be true before you can vote. So I have 67. So 67 is greater than 18, which is true. And then I'm also a Ghanaian. Sorry. I'm also a Ghanaian, which is also what? True. So once this is true and this is true, I should be able to vote. What did I do? Sorry. All right. So yeah. So it shows here that I can what? Vote. Let me rerun for the last time. So here I am indeed 18 years. My nationality is Nigerian. So here it is true, here is false. So I shouldn't be able to what? Vote. Strike on enter and it says what? I can't vote. But if I'm to use or in here, it means that even if my age here is less than 18 and my nationality is Ghanaian, I can go ahead and vote. Because with the or ensures that at least one of the conditions should be true. And here, this one is true. So let me run this. My age is 12. My nationality is Ghanaian. So even though the age is false, but nationality is Ghanaian, it will enable me to vote. So if you want to add more of the conditions, you can go ahead and do or, then put another, condition in there. Sorry. If you have another or, so you can have a long list of the end and the or based on what you are dealing with. So have that in mind. So this is how we can employ the logical operator and or. I think with C++, the or you have to use the pipe symbol, double of it, and then the and to use the ampersand sign to represent the and. But in Python, you just type the keyword and or instead of a symbol in your code. Please, any question?
There's a question in the chat.
Yes, go ahead and ask.
They
Yes.
want to know if the Ghanaian is case sensitive. The case that the code is, we wrote the G to be small, and then the case that the input is going to be capital, what is it going to happen?
Yes. So, remember I told you that Python is case what? Sensitive. Yes. So, if I'm to misspell my Ghanaian, it will see it as, so if I change the casing, it will see it as a different thing. So, if I have something like this, 18, and then I spell my Ghanaian like this. Sorry. It will tell you that you can't vote because the casing here is what? Different. Are you okay? So normally, once you are done getting your inputs, you can change it to lower to a lowercase because I'm using lowercase throughout. Okay. So when you get the input, convert the input into a lowercase value. So this time, anyhow I'll type my work. Anyhow I'm going to type my Ghanaian, even if I'm to use some capital letters throughout. Sorry. I can vote. Okay. Are you using it? Yes.
Yes, sir.
Exactly. But if I'm to change this one to uppercase, it will be a problem because I've made it lower. So whatever value you type, no matter the casing, I've asked the system to change whatever it is to a lower case because in my program, I'm using a lower case. So irrespective of how the casing is, I'll convert it. So I'll let the system internally convert it to a lower case. Then before it will be stored into the nationality aspect, and then it will compare whether the spelling of the Ghanaian is equal to this Ghanaian. So if I'm to run and then my age is this and my Ghanaian is like that. Yeah, so if I have a Ghanaian like this, okay, I can still vote because once it gets my write-up like this in a squashed cases, it will convert it and store it here as smaller letters. Then it's going to compare the smaller letters which is here to the smaller letters here, and then it will go ahead and take the decision from here. Yeah, so these are some of the string stuffs that we'll be looking at to ensure that our program doesn't create errors. So this time, once you're able to write any other country's name, then it will give you, it will tell you you can't actually vote because of our how we've written our conditional statement here. I think I saw another question. Yeah, please, sir, do we have to bring input process? No, I am helping you to understand. I am helping you to understand that these are the like steps you have to follow. It helps you to write a good program. Are we okay? Yeah. So it's not, but it's good if you want to. I was also using the opportunity to put in the input process and output to show you, to teach you how to write comments because it's very good to be adding comments into your work. Okay. Yeah. So it's not compulsory to always bring those things into play. All right. So I'll end here. Yes. So lest I forget, um, I'm going to do another video. Now, we've already spent 4 weeks. So within the 4 weeks, we're supposed to learn Python within 3 meetings. Then one will help you. So one, I'll give you a project. So we're supposed to use 4 weeks to finish and wrap up with our Python stuff. And we've only met for 2 meetings. So I'm going to make an extra video aside this one. It's still explaining the Python stuff, and I'll put it on my YouTube channel. So you're supposed to go ahead and go and complete that lesson as well, because next week I'm not going to continue with the Python programming. I'd rather give you a project that will keep you busy to ensure that you have your hands on the Python stuff. Okay. Yeah. So uh, today will be our last meeting on Python. Yeah, it's rather unfortunate. Our first meeting we couldn't meet, and then the second meeting I was supposed to meet was an holiday, and we couldn't meet on that. So that is why we only have 2 meetings on that. So after the project, our next meeting we'll look at the PHP as well. So we have to prepare for that.
Hey,
Yeah.
2 scripting languages.
Come again?
2 scripting languages.
No, we are
is
learning,
there.
we are learning 3 scripting languages. So after the PHP, we'll have another project. Then we'll mount onto JavaScript. You were not here last week, right? If you were, I don't think you asked this question.
Last week the network was misbehaving.
Yes, but in any case,
Getting plenty rules.
no, maybe it is from your house. So maybe next time you can go to her house to go and use. Maybe I'm sure her house has nice or a better flow of data. But in any case, the
I get
videos.
it. I get it.
In any
Yeah,
case,
so down.
so in any case, the videos are being recorded, and I'll put them on my channel for extra review to help you guys stay up to par. Okay.
Okay, sir.
All right.
We get
So
it, sir. We get
sure. All right. So others. So I believe we are all okay. All right. So take care of yourselves. Have a good evening, and see you when I see you.